resolution for Senator Lindsey Graham. And I'll recognize Nancy Coleman.
In January, I brought forward a resolution to censure Lindsey Graham that had 30 points on it, and asked that it be sent out for everybody to have an opportunity to look at it, read it, investigate it, research it, and come up with your own opinion on how you think he has represented us and our conservative values. And I guess that will be for the debate part. But I would like at this point to enter a motion that by written ballot, this body censure Lindsey Graham.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second, and I'll open up the floor for discussion. And because this is probably going to be, a lot of people are going to want to speak to this, I would ask you that if you've already spoken to defer, unless we go to a second round to speak again. So with that, I'll open the floor for discussion. Anybody want to start? Pam?
I would like to suggest that we really could get through and perhaps not censure him at all. To go back 10 years and say, we didn't like the way you voted 10 years ago on this or that, that's beside the point. Censuring is really a function that is left for Congress to censure another member of Congress. Taken into this context, we are attempting to control the outcome or help influence the outcome of the primary. We don't allow Terry to support any one candidate so that he won't, as our representative, try to influence the primaries. So I certainly don't think as a body that it is up to us to try to censure him, and to try to influence the primary, and that's the whole function of this. If you have a candidate that you like, get out there, work hard for him, vote for whoever you please, encourage other people to become informed, but it's not our function to support one candidate over another in the primary. Our function is to get voters out, to have them participate, to become informed. Like I said, work real hard for your guy, wave the signs for whoever you want to. But let's not do something that's going to write the Democratic commercials all through the summer and into the fall. We can't put somebody forth that half the group has been talking trash about for the longest time. And we've got to clean it up on Facebook. I've had people at work that I've finally got them convinced to try to get involved politically. They go to our Facebook page and they said everybody's just fighting. Everybody's just bickering with one another. And they really don't want any part of it. So we're not helping ourselves as a body. That's all.
Someone else? Nancy?
Well, censure in the legislative terms are right, but the word censure is not a strictly legislative action. It just means to show that you're strenuously disapprove of someone's actions, and that's what this censure would say. And our jobs as executive committee people, we are responsible to our precincts to let them know what is going on within the Republican Party. And if we have a person who has helped put in extremely liberal judges who have done a number of other things, not 10 years ago, but in the last 4 years, and also somebody who in 2009 was censured by Charleston County, and then was supposed to come and talk with us and ignored us then, and has since then ignored the grassroots movements and debased it. I think that is something that we are responsible to the people we represent to let them know that. And what better time than prior to a primary, because otherwise he didn't change in 2009. So if we did this last year, he wouldn't change. If we do it next year, he won't change. So our responsibility is to the people we represent.
Well, as any of your people that you represent, tell them anything you want, put that information out there. I'm saying as a body, I don't feel like it should be up to us.
Someone else? Bob?
There's been, 6 or 7 other counties that have taken this, or 7, that's taken this action. I think Lindsey, we've heard a little bit more from him than we normally do at this point, because he doesn't like it signs, so he's being censored. And, if we back down now, Lindsey's gonna say, I'm on the road, I've got it. And
There
so,
have been counties that haven't censored him.
I know that there's been 7.5.
There's been some that haven't. I don't think it's a monkey see, monkey do kind of deal.
I'm just saying we would not be alone.
Well, being alone wouldn't.
Pam, well, I don't want us,
Okay,
I don't want this to get into a debate between people.
okay.
I want us all to have a chance to speak, and then we're gonna vote, okay? And then whatever happens, happens, but, I'll interject right here. What I don't want for this to do is divide the party. Okay, so how we debate this and how we talk about this is important. Who else wants to speak? Yes.
I've pondered this since the time that we got this, and I've researched it, and I've read all the points on the paper that we got, and really tried to think what was the right thing to do. I'm as conservative as you could be. I mean, I'm completely conservative, but I've come to the conclusion I just don't personally feel like this is the right method, the right tactic. I feel like not in support of Senator Graham, but I don't see in any of these things where he's done anything that could be construed as illegal or immoral or unethical. And I think that we could spend all night debating whether we agree on what he said here, what he said about this, or how we voted on this. I just personally come to the conclusion I don't think it's correct to construe this action on his voting record. It's perfectly fine to vote him out of office if you disagree with how he voted on something. I just can't agree with this particular tactic, and I think it's counterproductive. I think in politics you have to take a more pragmatic approach. There's never a candidate that any of us are going to agree with 100% of the time, or agree with how they vote or how they act 100% of the time. But you just got to be a little more pragmatic, and you just got to go by the Berkeley rule. To hope that the most conservative person that has the best chance to win. And I just have angst about and again, it has nothing to do with arguing about how he voted on something. I just have angst with this tactic, doing this as a tactic.
Someone else?
We don't need to be chasing, like the puppy chasing his tail. We're not dealing with the definition of the word as used in the legislature and the Congress. That's not what we're doing. This entire issue is so simple. The Berkeley County Republican Party, we use the state, I do believe, the state GOP platform. We have a national platform. In that platform, there are planks. And it points out what our core values are. What do we believe in as a party? If we have elected officials going to Washington to represent us and that platform, our core values, what we believe in our heart of hearts, and an elected official goes up there and votes diametrically opposed to what every one of you in this room say you believe in, why do we need a party? Why do we stand up and read the Republican Creed? Don't we believe it? If somebody goes to Washington and they're representing us, people on national television and radio are talking about South Carolina as connected to Senator Graham. And the questions are asked, they were asked today, what's wrong with those people? That's a red state. Why are they quiet? And the main thing that gets to me that there's no way that I can get around is the vote for Kagan and Sotomayor. Who can defend that vote? Oh, well, they would have been elected, they would have been confirmed anyway. It doesn't matter. If you had been up there to vote, or any of the rest of you, the vote could have been 99-1, and you'd have voted no for abortion advocates. People who think 2 days before term you can abort a child. You would have voted no. It wouldn't have mattered if you were the only person in that Senate. You would have voted no. But the person who's representing all of us didn't vote no. It's one of those, well, my vote didn't really matter that we've heard here lately about another issue in Columbia. If we don't believe in anything, if we don't stand for anything, then what in the heck are we doing here? And no, Senator Graham has not committed a crime. Nothing that he could be prosecuted for. But that's not the purpose of this censure. The purpose of this censure is to tell that man, hey, you're not representing us. Who are you representing? That's the point of this. And yes, there are a lot of low information voters, and this will affect the primary. Yeah, I admit it. It definitely will. Because people will pay attention to a public action that's taken, where they won't be paying attention and they won't know the facts, and they'll walk into that voting booth, you know, with their finger up their nose. Exactly, just like yes for schools. Thank you. And that's really all I have to say. But the Supreme Court thing, there is no way any one of you here can explain that away. And he voted and approved of, by his vote, what those two women stand for. And I don't think anybody in this room approves of that. Thank you.
Yes, John?
I just want to, and I posted this on Facebook today, but I wanted to get it into the minutes as well. I want to go on with what Linda said about Sotomayor and Kagan. Is my issue with that is I'm not going to censure Lindsey because of one vote or another vote, but the one thing I think all of us Republicans have in common is a respect and reverence for the Constitution. And I think by his vote in the Supreme Court, people, he has shown that the concept of consent and advise of the Senate means absolutely nothing to him, because when I asked him personally, explain those votes to me, and he said, well, the president deserves to get whoever he wants for this position or the court or whatever. Elections have consequences. That's exactly, I mean, that's what he said to me personally on a one-on-one basis. And that told me that he has completely abdicated his responsibility of consent and advise, which is, I don't agree with this vote, I'm going to vote against it, even if I'm voted down. So that tells me that my fear is that he doesn't take the Constitution seriously as we do. And I think that needs to be corrected. That's all I have to say.
Yes. Okay.
I want to ask a question. How many people here got a call from a young man, I believe, that lived in Mount Pleasant that represented Senator Graham, asking us to speak against this censure? How many people here got that telephone call? Well, does that tell you anything? It tells you that he's a little bit concerned about it. But I also have some concerns, because I talk to a lot of people every day. And there's a lot of questions asked about why do you think you can do anything as a Republican Party when all you do is argue amongst yourselves? And in my opinion, this censure is giving public notice that we're arguing among ourselves. And I think we should let it be known that we don't really agree with what he's doing. But that's probably by going out and supporting somebody that's going to run against him. and put him out of office or fire him. I saw a sign when I came in, fire Graham. I'm having a problem talking because my voice is about to go away. But that's how you fire a guy that's in an elective office, is at the polls. So, I mean, I don't know, I have mixed emotions about doing a censure. And it has to do with the divisiveness that it seems to be causing in the Republican Party. Now, that's what I got to say. That's my opinion, and everybody's got one.
Someone else? Okay.
I agree with a lot of the sentiment that's been said. I got to know Lindsey 4 or 5 years ago, and that was really not from a Republican standpoint, but from a Charleston Tea Party board perspective. Talked to him a bunch. I've had disagreements with him on some of the specific issues that were talked about here. I didn't agree with him then. I don't agree with him now. There are many things I do agree with him on. He isn't perfect, but we don't have an elected official that is perfect, with the exception of our Berkeley Council. So the thing that comes to me is this. The way we handle an elected official that we're displeased with is we vote them out of office. The purpose of this group is not to, I don't think, to select in effect or to try to select or try to tell members of our precincts what's going on. I think members of our precincts know what's going on. Many of them are involved. Many of them do know. Many of them have their own opinions. Many don't agree with this. Some do. Okay, but that's why we vote. My concern with the censure is this. I think it's the wrong tool to follow to try to affect this election. Here's why. Going back to what Pam and some others have said earlier. If you look at the last election, 2012 election, look, what we've got to do, we have to win the Senate in 2014. Period. If what we're doing with Lindsey is not going after the 6+ seats we need outside of the state of South Carolina in the Senate. So the question is, how are we going to affect that? If you look at the last election, and I'll use the presidential race. Romney got 44% of the women vote, 27% of the Hispanic vote, 26% of the Asian vote, 38% of other. Hispanic, Asian, and other represented 15% of the total votes. So we're around 27% of that 15%. That difference would have swung the elections if we had a little bit more of that. 44% of women votes, not too spiffy. Age, we had 37% of the 18 to 29-year-olds, 45% of the 30 to 44-year-olds. So the question is this. The, quote, censure and the comments about the bickering and it goes on, whether it's Facebook, websites, emails, whatever. I mean, how many emails do you get a day? Did you see this? Did you hear that? Did you see that? Did you see this? People are so invested in sending all this negative, nasty stuff around that does nothing to affect the vote. I submit our job is to go affect the people that are not in this room. We have to go persuade other voters who did not vote our way in 2012. We have to persuade them. We have to give them reasons why they agree with our vote, why they agree that they need to vote for Republican candidates. And I submit to you, having censure, fighting on Facebook, calling one another names, this group, that group, or the other group. We need to forget all the groups. And we need to go after voters who can be persuaded to vote our way, but they're not going to come because of the negative, nasty stuff. A censure is not going to attract votes, I don't think. Some of you may disagree with that. My view is we're selling and we are persuading other people who aren't as engaged to A, participate, come vote. B, we want them to vote our way, which means we have to actually give them a reason to want to be with us. And calling them and quote, censuring, fighting, taking that approach, when that's why we vote to begin with, in my mind, is to replace a candidate or an incumbent that we don't like. So my view is censure, I think is the wrong tool to go after what some folks here would like to do. And this isn't, my comments are not about should you vote for or against Lindsey. That's not why I'm saying this. I think censure is the wrong tool because I think it will hurt us in other races, it hurts our party, and it will hurt other candidates locally and in the state. If we continue this bickering from now to November, it will do us in. If that gets, because that's going to be played up and played up and played up, it will not help us win a Senate seat outside of South Carolina, I don't think. So my view is what we're about is how do we persuade other folks to vote Republican? What about this is attractive to them? What makes them want to come be a part of this? And seeing the food fight doesn't attract people that aren't engaged today. And we need more people that are not engaged. We really do. So that's why I'm opposed to the censure. And again, it's not a vote for or against Lindsey. It's an opposition to the censure. Thank you.
And with that. And with that, I see, we'll get there, Mike.
I'll try not to take up too much time. I too have been torn about this. Of course, all of you know that I'm relatively new with the Berkeley County Republican Party. And I took it upon myself to begin talking to people in my precinct. And the more people that I talked with, the more, well, I'll be honest, I took a little poll. And I was able to talk to about 20 people. 15 out of the 20 people, and I posed my questions to them in such a way that I didn't sound biased either way about how do you feel about your county Republican Party when in regards to censuring Lindsey Graham. 15 out of 20 were for it. Okay? Now these are people that I just called off of my P1 list. Was only able to get a hold of about 20. 3 said no, and 2 were undecided. I have had to put this in God's hands. I have prayed about this vote. I didn't even know if I would be the one voting tonight until I got here. I considered calling my executive committee man, asking him if he were going to be here. But I said, no, if he's here, then the chips will fall where they may. But instead, I'm here. All I can do is just impress upon you guys tonight that I take a responsibility to somebody who is more important. And what he lays on my heart to do, that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm anti-abortion. I'm bothered about his voting in Kagan and Sotomayor. I worry about the freedoms that are being thrown away just because we've got politicians up in D.C. wanting to throw this country away and throw our liberties away. And I'm here to tell you folks, I listened to Senator Graham about 3 years ago at a town hall. And when that man stood there and said, well, the Constitution doesn't really apply to certain things today, that did it for me. Because that Constitution was founded upon the principles of our God in heaven, who is a much greater power than the Republican Party, than any senator who stands up there and is going to throw it away. So what do I do about it? I listen to what my Maker tells me that I need to do tonight. And I implore you to do the same. Thank you.
In 2009, in 2010, 2011, I watched Lindsey Graham push for cap and trade legislation I wrote him letters. Of course, I got back form letters that didn't address the questions that I had sent to him. Talked to him once at an event. I work at a local engineering company, and we talk amongst ourselves. And 10 of my best friends that I work with, we talk about things. They have family out of state, and whenever the topic of politics comes up, they're embarrassed when the subject of Lindsey Graham comes up. The people that I work with live all the way from Bono to Mount Pleasant, West Ashley. I hear what they have to say. I hear what people from other states that I talk to have to say. And I have to take what I've seen over the years, the constant moving of close as election time comes, moving closer to the right on votes, and then going back to the left once elections are over. It's more than just a vote to me, and maybe I shouldn't think that way. When I heard the opportunity to censure, I thought to myself, maybe this is a good thing, maybe this is a bad thing, I don't know. And I saw some of the other counties had done the same thing. They had posed upon it. And I talked to my friends at work again, and they said, our thing was they're telling them, why haven't you censored it? Why isn't every county doing this? I didn't have an answer to it. This goes beyond simple votes to me. This goes back to principles. This goes beyond voting up or down for certain bills. This is a pattern of misbehavior in the Senate to me, and that's why I'm supporting the censure.
Tom?
I just want to know, is there any way that we can change the word censure to vote of no confidence? I mean, this lady does not like the word. Ms. Nancy, she wants to push that word. Is there anything we can, because I don't like seeing my fellow Republicans at odds, bickering, animosity. So is there any way that we can come up with something else differently to get our point across that we don't like this spineless weasel in Washington? We know he's McCain's lapdog. Yeah, y'all can say that. I have other words to say last one, but that were here.
The motion can be amended, if somebody makes a motion to amend it and it's seconded, then you would vote and discuss that motion and amend it, and then you would vote on the original question.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, there's a bunch of smart people here.
That's up to the body.
Right. That maybe that's something that we can pursue. Because let's not be followers of other counties. Let's be leaders so other counties will follow us.
Tommy made the motion, does he have a second?
I second that.
To change the wording from censure to a vote of no confidence.
Any discussion on that?
We'll enter into discussion on that at this time. And we're not gonna beat this to death, so.
Lindsey Graham is scared of the word censure. Maybe he'd be scared of the word, that we don't have any confidence in it. But the fact that he's scared of the word censure and it has gotten his attention must mean the word is powerful. You talk of divisiveness. Well, the whole primary system is divisive. But once the primaries are over, we come together. Lindsey Graham wins the primaries, we're going to support Lindsey Graham. We're going to support the Democrat. But the whole system itself is divisive until you get through the primaries. So to talk about it being divisive is a moot point. But we're talking about principles, and that's why I proposed that. Now, what you all decide, if you want to vote on censure, if you want to vote on telling him he's a bad boy, that's okay. But I just wanted to bring that point out, that it's going to be divisive until the primaries are over. And that's just a fact of life.
Yes.
One statement, if the gentleman's conduct is censurable, then he should be censured. It's that simple. And this doesn't have anything to do about attracting voters. We stand on principle. If we do not stand on principle, as the lady said, what do we stand for?
So we're going to vote, unless there's more discussion, we're going to vote on whether to change the motion to a vote of no confidence. So with that, all in favor of changing to a vote of no confidence, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no?
No.
Okay, we're not going to change. We're back on discussion of the main motion. Does anybody else wish to speak? James?
Are non-voting members allowed to speak?
Do you want my opinion on that, or?
Yeah, we'll hear from our parliamentarian.
If you are not a member of this body, you can be called upon to speak if you are recognized by a member of the body and there is no objection by any member of the body.
I recognize him.
Without objection, I recognize, what's his name?
I am a card-carrying member of this. On the subject of the Supreme Court justices, it's not simply the abortion issue, it's everything. Because of the misuse of the Supreme Court, we have Second Amendment issues that come up before the court. We had a decision by the Supreme Court on Obamacare. And it's not to say that it would have gone differently, but the fact is, those nominees that he voted for were on the bench when that decision was rendered. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else wish to speak? James?
I just want to say, to me, the whole idea of it is not necessarily are we censuring Lindsey Graham, but what is the responsibility of this county party? In a primary system, I believe that the party as a whole should remain nonpartisan. If we as a body vote to censure Lindsey Graham, we are therefore by that virtue taking away that nonpartisan atmosphere of the party. Most of the other counties that have voted, the chairs of those counties are supporting one particular candidate in this primary. So do we want to join that group and say, yes, we're throwing our hat in the ring with this, or should we take a slower look at it and say, that's not really our responsibility as a party to endorse or censure a candidate. Our responsibility as a party is, and our responsibility as executive committeemen and precinct leaders is to get out in our precinct and inform our precinct members and voting public of what the issues are. That's our responsibility as executive committeemen. Our responsibility is not to say, well, we disagree with this person, and I'm right there with everybody. I disagree with him in general, and I disagree with the things that he's done, but I just can't see the point of coming to this place today to vote against someone who is running in a Republican primary. We've already had enough of that issue. We saw that in 2012 when Mitt Romney ran, that we tore each other apart in the primary. Is that really what we want? Do we really want the papers saying, well, look at the Republican Party destroying each other? I want y'all to take a look at the Democratic Party. What is the Democratic Party doing? They are gathering strength. They are gathering unity. Whereas the Republican Party becomes more divisive by the day. So my issue with the censure is not the fact that I disagree or agree with Lindsey Graham, because I do disagree with Lindsey Graham. But I think that it's bad form for this party to stand up and say, we disagree with this one particular primary candidate.
Anybody else?
I'd just like to ask you, you say that we shouldn't do that because.
We're not gonna debate each other.
No, I'm not
You-
debating, okay? Then I'd like to be recognized.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. What I'd like to say is, if we're not partisan, we're supposed to be nonpartisan, then let's go out and support a Democrat too. A Democrat. That's nonpartisan, right? Okay? Are we Republicans? Sure we're Republicans. Do we have principles and values that we hold dear to us? Then let's hold them dear to us. If that man does not represent our values and principles, he should be censured. He should know. He should realize the fact that he does not represent the Republican Party. At least not in this county. Not me, as a Republican. And I don't think any of y'all. He represents y'all. He just does not do it. So if censure will make him open his eyes, then let's censure him. But if it doesn't open his eyes, if you think it's just going to roll off his back like, hey, elections have consequences, you know? All right? I've written them many times and I got the same kind of response you did.
We have that makes us a heck of a lot stronger party than the Democrat Party are, who just have so we want to disagree with each other. I say let's disagree with each other. Let's get out in the open and just be respectful. It's a great thing. Don't hold back. Don't think that, geez, I don't want to challenge what that guy says on Facebook, or I don't want to challenge what this guy says. That's your duty as a Republican to do it. All right? But just do it in a respectful way. And so if anyone tells you don't disagree with each other or tear each other apart or, it's somehow going to damage the Republican Party, I couldn't disagree with you more. It's what makes us strong. Thank you.
I've reserved my comments until the end, and some of what I want to say is just part information for you, so you can make an informed decision. Real quick.
I just want to recognize Joe Kaplan. Did he have a minute to speak? Since he's not a committee.
Well, we had a call for the question, and I've been trying to let everybody speak, but I'm going to cut off the debate except for my last comments before we vote. If we pass censure, I can just about, I bet a dime to a dollar we'll be the last county that does it. So if you think you've got a groundswell, I think you're wrong. If you think this will go to the state party, it won't. It has already died in committee. The resolutions committee met. I'm chairman of that committee. I did not speak to the issue. I made a comment after the vote. I did not push the debate in any direction. There was one vote to take the censure to the state executive committee. The rest of the votes were to table. So it won't go to the state committee. So it won't go there. The county that started this had a very limited meeting. They barely had a quorum. The censure was not written grassroots in this state. The censure came out of Washington, D.C. somewhere. So I think you need to know that before you vote. With that being said, if we come to a tie tonight, I'm not going to vote unless we have a tie. And if we come to a tie, the motion will fail because I'm going to vote against it if I get the vote. And the reason for that is this. We should be about trying to get more people to run in primaries, not run somebody off, even if he's a bad voter. We are violating our principles to punish somebody who's got bad principles. I'm not a Lindsey Graham fan. Anybody in this room that knows me knows that I'm not a Lindsey Graham fan. But I cannot in good conscience leave this party to do this because I think it's wrong for the party. Now, it's your will, and you're going to decide unless you give me the opportunity. So you might think about that when you vote. That may drive you to do something different. I don't know. That's up to the body. But I will say this. You don't allow me as chairman to go out and speak for you in public and pick a candidate and say this one's good and this one's bad. You do that by rule because I represent this body. But yet you're going to do it by voting for censure. I think that is hypocritical, personally. And I think if you do that, you should change the rules in this party to allow me to pick a candidate and get behind it. The next thing I'm going to, we're done with the debate. The next thing I'm going to say is this. If we spend as much time on an issue that will really affect this party and across the state, if we spend our time working on registration by party and closing our primaries, we took all the energy that we put into this and put in that, will make a difference. But this is not going to make a difference. Because what we do here is not going to make somebody go in the voting booth and say, they censored him, I think I'll vote for somebody else. With that, we'll have a vote. And I was prepared with we don't normally vote by secret ballot. So if you're an executive committee member or the precinct president here, come get a ballot and we'll vote. If the executive committee was here, there's only one vote per one vote per person. No matter what you say.
I just checked Facebook for the record. Our state executive committee member is out of date.
Oh, is it? No, I don't think it's been closed.
Yeah. No.
Hey, Terry. Yes means censure, and no means no censure.
Yes means voting for the censure, no means voting against. Is there any other votes out? I got some people that want to come by. Last call for votes. Sure.
Whether this passes or not, I would like to thank this body. Some counties have not been able to do what we did tonight. They've not been able to discuss it, they've not been able to have a thorough discussion and a vote. Some counties, they go ramrodded out of the room. So whichever way it goes, I just appreciate the fact that this group has come past anybody else in the state as far as being a good functioning body. Thank you.
Well, we have the roll call, and you weren't more present. So I was, David was late getting here.
The vote is 16 to 11 with one abstention. The motion fails. Next order of business is announcements.